Okay, let's go ahead and get started. Thank you again for joining me and taking some time out of your Thursday. Before we get going, I want to give a quick shout out to Academy Mortgage for helping sponsor these trainings so that we can provide them to you guys free of charge. And thanks to you guys for taking some of your time to come and attend. As always, this is live, so feel free to interact a little bit, raise your hand to get my attention, or type in a question or a comment in the question part of the webinar dashboard, and I do try to keep my eye on that so that I can give you guys what you need. If also there is a training that you guys would like to see that I'm not offering, please send me an email. My email is eric.lee@equityutah.com. If for some reason you want to take notes, like a lot of times people say, hey, can you send me the whole training? And I don't do that, but I do record these on our YouTube channel. So you can go to YouTube and look up Elite Agent Training, all one word, Elite Agent Training, subscribe to our YouTube channel, and then when I add new videos, you should be able to get them there. This is one that I've tried recording a couple of times and it hasn't worked on YouTube, so we're trying it again today. So let's go ahead and get started. First of all, I try to start with a little thought each time, and this one I think is applicable to today's lesson on farming and building a power team. Maya Angelou said, all great achievements require time. Now, one of the challenges I think a lot of real estate agents have in their business is we jump into this business and not a lot of people have a ton of cash just sitting by. They've got to get into this game and they've got to start making money right away. And that leads you to the bucket hauling mentality of I'm going to go out and pound doors, I'm going to call for sell by owners, I'm going to whatever, work the phones, whatever it is that agents do to try to get now business. But at the same time, I don't think that we should neglect the long-term vision, okay? So this all great achievements require time. If you want to build a great career in real estate and just absolutely love this business, then it's worthwhile investing into your long-term business. And that's what we're going to be talking about today with farming and a power team, okay? First of all, we've all heard the term farming. When I started in real estate, I heard this term bandied around the office a little bit, had no idea what it was. I asked people, and basically what they told me was that farming was just an area that you did lots of marketing to. And people would send out postcards and they would send out calendars and recipe cards and all sorts of stuff to this farm area. And I realized at that point, hey, I'm in somebody's farm. I've been getting that kind of stuff from an agent or two. And I also realized simultaneously that I didn't think that marketing was very effective. So I want to ask you guys, quick little survey to get started out here. Now again, if you look on your webinar dashboard panel, it usually comes up in the top right side of your screen. How many of you guys are in another agent's farm? Just click the little webinar dashboard button. It looks like a hand with an arrow pointing up. How many of you are in another agent's farm? You get marketing material from somebody else. Okay. So more than half of you actually, about what was it, 40, 50, no, it's like 60%. Okay, so I went ahead and lowered all the hands. Of that marketing material, how many of you guys, again, have actually met that farming agent personally? Raise your hand. Sorry, let me clarify a little bit. We're all in this business, so we may have met them in business circles. How many of them have actually come around to your neighborhood? Okay, some of them have. That's impressive. All right, I'm going to go ahead and lower the hands. Here's what I want to do. There's a lot of gimmicks out there. Okay, I want to help you guys sort through that stuff. It can cost a fortune doing this kind of thing wrong. If you're buying calendars for 300 people, that's a lot of money. Even just mailing out a magnetic business card to put on their fridge, that can be expensive. And the potential return from all of that, well, let me ask this. Let's ask you guys out here. Put yourself in a seller's shoes, okay? You're not real estate agents now. You're just sellers. You live where you live. And it comes time to sell your home. How many of you guys would call up the agent that has been farming or that has mailed stuff to your address? How many of you would give them a call and at least a shot at an interview? And if not, I would love for you to type in and tell me why you wouldn't. And please leave your hands up so I can get an idea here. But if you wouldn't give that agent a call, they're sending material to your home already. If you wouldn't give them a call, tell me why you wouldn't give them a call. Who would you call instead if it comes time to sell your home? I'll wait just a moment for your responses here. Okay, while you guys are answering this, and please do type it in the question panel, let me know your thoughts on this one. I'm going to go on and talk about the farming that I have seen that is the most effective. Now, I know agents that do this, and it comprises, well, for some agents, it's their whole business, and they make a lot of money doing it. Agents that I know locally, a couple $100,000. I know agents in California making over $1 million a year, and that's their take-home. That's not their like the volume of, like if I sell 5 $200,000 houses, $1 million volume. That's not what I'm talking about. These guys are taking home $1 million in income. Okay, one agent typed in here that they would pick a realtor that they've already met with. That's the response that I get from a lot. I haven't gotten a lot of other responses from you guys on today. Love to have more, but if you don't respond, I'll just share with you what other classes have said. And they say, you know what, I already knew somebody that was in the business. So just because this guy's sending me a postcard doesn't mean I'm going to work with him. You know, I have a friend or a referral from somebody else, and that's typically the response that I get every once in a while. And I think one of you raised your hand saying that you would interview this person that's been farming to you. And it was also one of the hands that said that that person had actually come around to your neighborhood and met with you. Let's start at the very basics of farming. Okay, now I've got a picture up here of combine harvester because farming in real estate is, I think, eerily similar, if you do it right, to farming an actual farm. Now, nobody knows a lazy farmer, okay? They're not out there. They don't exist. Farmers are good workers. They're renowned for that. I've got this picture up here to remind us of some of the steps that we have to take to stand out. And that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to stand out from our competition. We're trying to dominate an area, and we're going to do that not because we know how to lick a stamp and put a recipe in the mill. Okay, there's got to be other work performed for you to actually dominate an area to the point that no other realtors can break into it. How do you pick a good spot of ground? Well, I'm going to show you, take you to the MLS here, okay? Now, if I'm going to start a farm, the first thing I want to do is I want to pick a good spot of ground, and for us that means lots of sold properties. If there aren't homes selling there, it's not a good spot of ground. So I want to change the status here. You can see everybody's MLS is different, but you see a summary up here in the top left of ours. So I'm going to change from active to sold. That's a crop for me, okay? Now I want to display a map. I'm going to pick an area by our Clearfield office, which is the office that I opened up originally. And I'm just going to zoom in here a little bit. Now, what you guys are going to see, do a little bit more. Okay, now what you're going to see here is these are just neighborhoods, okay? And our office happens to be about, let's see, I can't see any addresses here. We're a little bit further south than this, so. There we go. Okay, so here's our office is right about here. All right. So if I'm going to do farming, I want to check out some areas, number one, that I'm willing to work. But if you're a full-time agent, don't necessarily pick your backyard. A lot of agents do that. They'll pick their backyard, but for example, my neighborhood, not a very good farm area. You know, every year there's maybe 1 or 2 homes that sell around here, and I certainly can't build my business off of that. It's just not enough volume. So what I want to do, I'm going to go in here to a drawing tool, and I'm just going to start drawing little squares. Okay, this is a neighborhood right close to our office. And first of all, I'm going to go back, let's go back 90 days. Okay, that'll give me a decent little picture. Okay, so in 90 days, there's been 8 homes that have sold back here. So I'm averaging out almost 2 to 3 homes a month that are selling. Compare that to my neighborhood where I'm averaging maybe 2 homes a year. This would be a better area for me to farm, all right? And basically what I can do is I can back out of here and I can just keep drawing little boxes. See that neighborhood? Not so much. Just 1 home there in the 90 days. Nothing there. And I can just keep going along, drawing boxes. Let me move it to my navigational tool. And this is basically how I identify my farm area. So I come out and I keep drawing boxes over neighborhoods, finding out how many homes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There's 9. That's not bad. And I want to look at an area depending on how much business I'm doing, if I'm full or a part-time agent. I want to find an area anywhere from 200 homes for a part-time agent up to maybe 500 homes for a full-time agent. Okay, that would not be a good area to work in. So anyways, you get the picture. All right. Oops, clicked the wrong button. Let's say that I went with this neighborhood over here. Okay, 9 sales, so I'm averaging, or 10 sales, I guess, in the last 3 months. So I'm averaging over 3 home sales a month. Now, if I can dominate this neighborhood, that means that I should be able to get at least half of the listings, which gives me 1.5 to 2 sales a month. But I'm also going to be picking up some buyers because every buyer that drives through here are going to see multiple signs of mine. So I could be closing 2 to 3 home sales a month just off of this neighborhood if I did it right. So that's our objective here. That's what we're talking about. Pick a good spot of ground first. Go in, use some of your MLS tools, and find an area that has consistent sales. Okay, next, a farmer's got to plow the land. For us, we're going to be plowing is just preparing to plant, so we need to become an expert before we go out and plant any seeds. And that's pretty simple. I've got all those MLS listings. I can pull them up. I can go select active and under contract pretty easily. And overnight, I can know everything that's going on. In fact, it wouldn't take me overnight. It'd take me maybe a half hour to go through, read through all those listings, and get really familiar with what's happening in that neighborhood. In fact, I can be more familiar with my tools than somebody that lives there, because I can know sold prices and how much people are giving away in concessions and how long they've been on the market. It's the kind of information that even somebody that's lived there for 20 years isn't going to have handy unless they're extremely nosy neighbors and pay a lot of attention to what's going on. But most people aren't like that. So I'm going to have an advantage. When I go around and talk to people, I can come off as an expert. Next, I need to prepare my seeds. Now, your seeds are a little one-page introductory letter. I've got a copy of what I think is my favorite one here that an agent made. Okay, let me pull this up. All right, so this was an agent of mine up in Logan, getting back into real estate after being gone out of it for a while, but he put this together. Now, you'll notice a couple of things about this. There's not a lot of sales pitches in here. Okay, and that's good. When you're going around introducing yourself to people, you want to make it an introductory piece. You don't want to make it a sales pitch piece. We're not door-to-door salesmen, but we do want these people in a neighborhood to get to know us, and so we've got to give them an introduction. This is it. So he's put together a fun one here. He's got his picture, and he's got a clear other picture identifying that it's something to do with real estate. But he comes in and says, if you live in Hiram, I'm your neighbor. If you live in Logan, I teach at Logan High School, and basically gives a little bit of history about himself. And then down at the bottom, he offers a few free services. And this is just some value-added benefits that because he's a realtor and somebody knows him, he can provide him some stuff. If you're considering buying, a free email alert automatically sends you homes that meet your qualifications as soon as they're listed on the MLS. Considering selling, a free CMA, and a free premium listing and he can show you his program basically. Anyways, it's got all his information here. It's very simple, and this would be really easy for him to hand to somebody without any kind of a sales pitch, just a simple handoff. All right, let's see. Okay, so you've got a one-page intro done. And so far, the amount of time that this has taken us, it takes us maybe a half hour to sort through the MLS, find a spot of ground, another half hour to review that information, Preparing that intro depends on how good you are with the computer or if you have something like that already, but if you're starting from scratch, maybe an hour. So we're 2 hours of work into this. Now, I told you already that working like a farmer was hard work, right? But so far, this hasn't been hard that I've talked about. That difficulty comes next. And I want you to be patient. I'm pointing out the time that this takes on purpose because you're going to see very quickly how to distance yourself from your competition. You've got half hour, and maybe an hour. So 2 hours of work so far. And here comes the real work. Go door to door and introduce yourself. Okay? People value that face time. It gives you such a huge advantage over somebody that's sending out some kind of a postcard or hanging door hangers or something like that. If they get to see you personally, and then some of the follow-up that we're going to be doing here later on, if they can see that kind of thing face-to-face, if they can see that you're a real person, that you're dressed sharp, that you're not scary or whatever, it just gives you an advantage. We're really super hesitant to call strangers. Even if that stranger mails us a nice postcard, we're hesitant to use them. Most people, and according to surveys, it's over 3/4 of people, would prefer to go with a referral from somebody that they already know and trust, especially with something this big. You know, selling your home's a big deal. It's so much better to go with somebody that you already know and trust, but those people that we know and trust, we already know most agents aren't doing a very good job of staying in touch with them. So what you need to become is you need to become this neighborhood's person that they know and trust, and you don't do that with a postcard. Okay, you've got to go door to door and meet with them. And so the door-to-door script is very simple, folks. You go out, and I did this with some agents. This was a number of years, probably 8 years ago. I had 5 or 6 agents in my office that wanted to see what this was like. I called up a mortgage lender to go with me because whenever I go door to door, I get a mortgage lender. Number one, it builds a deeper relationship between me and that mortgage lender, spend that time together. But number two, a lot of people have questions if they're considering buying. They want information on financing, and I'm not equipped to answer all those questions. My lender is, and it gets him some good leads as well. But number three, I don't want to go with another real estate agent because then I have to split my business with them. I have to split any leads that I get, and I don't want to do that. I'm a little bit selfish that way. I want to keep as much business as I can. So if I'm going to go door to door, I get a mortgage lender to go with me. So we did this. We went out door to door, and we knocked on the doors, and we actually took turns being the speaker because the script is really simple. You don't have to be a real estate agent to give the script. But we just say, hey, my name's Eric Lee. I'm a real estate agent. This is Kevin Pickett. He's my mortgage lender. He's out of the business, by the way, but he was a good friend of mine and in it for a long time. He's a mortgage lender, and we're just introducing ourselves. I'm the local real estate expert for this neighborhood, and it's my goal to meet everybody, and so I want to bring around a little sheet that introduces myself. Anytime you have real estate questions, give me a call. Now, I could give that script if they're eating dinner. It wouldn't matter. I'm not giving them a sales pitch. I'm not trying to be pushy, aggressive, anything like that. There's nothing offensive in what I'm saying. And I went out for maybe it was an hour and a half, 2 hours maximum, knocking doors. We knocked probably 50 doors in that time and got 6 good leads from it. People saying, well, what do you think my home would be worth? And that would open up a conversation and we could talk. And if they didn't say anything like that, if they didn't say, you know, we've been thinking of moving actually, then I would just leave it at that and move on to the next door. But you've got to understand, okay, if you've never gone door to door, you don't have to have a sales pitch. You don't need and you don't want a sales pitch because you're not going to convince anybody, no matter how good your pitch is, if they're not considering selling, if they haven't been up late at night trying to figure out where they're going to fit all their kids, or they really need a garage and their current home doesn't have one, or whatever it is, there's something that has been eating away at somebody out there telling them that they need to sell their home, okay? And if that isn't happening to them, you're not going to convince them on the doorstep that they all of a sudden need to sell. So don't worry about having a pitch. Just go introduce yourself. Say, I'm the local real estate expert, just coming around to introduce myself. Let me know if you ever have any needs. Now, we're going to prove to them in our next step over time that we're the real estate expert. And this is where that quote comes in play. All great things, all great achievements require time. Okay, so this one right here, this will take you a couple of hours. What I would recommend is just plan a couple of nights a week consistently so that it turns into a business plan for you and not just something that you do when you get the time for it, because we all seem to fill up our time with busyness. But I would actually schedule this in your calendar. Now, obviously, if your goal is to meet people, it needs to be evenings or maybe a weekend or something, but just because you're free in the middle of the day and there's not a lot going on doesn't mean that that's the best time to do it. You also do not want to hire little kids to run around and hang door hangers. That's not the objective here. Yes, you do have a little one-page introductory sheet that you could just leave there, but the real power of this comes in meeting people, saying hi to them, letting them see your face. It is good for you to have your face on your piece of paper so that they can remember that, and on future marketing things so that they can remember that, so that a lot of people are just, they're more visual than word oriented, and so you want them to see your face and your name so that you become the familiar household face for that neighborhood. All right, so you go through and you block out a couple nights a week where you're just going to go knock doors. Call it your exercise. All right, I don't know about you, but sometimes it's hard to get in and get any exercise done. This is a nice, easy, fun way to do it, and you build your sphere of influence pretty quickly. Next, we're going to fertilize. And fertilizing is this. We're going to simply drop them into our already time-proven SOI contact system. If you don't know what that is, go back to the YouTube videos and watch the Sphere of Influence training. But basically what we're going to be doing is nearly 20 contacts a year. Okay, we're going to make sure that they get our newsletter every month. And you can do some fun things with these contacts actually with your farm that you can't do with the rest of your SOI. I've heard agents that will set up a lemonade stand. When somebody does a garage sale, they'll do set up a free lemonade stand or something like that. And, you know, just something to draw more people in. They'll do, you know, when there's a charity event going on, you know, maybe somebody in the community has developed cancer, and so they're going to do a race for the cure or something like that. And you can say, you know what, I'm running for this person, whatever it is. And you can just go around and use that. Hey, you know me, I'm your neighborhood real estate agent. Today I'm actually going around our community because so-and-so had an accident, and we're doing this fundraiser for them, and I'm running in it. Okay? And whatever it is that comes up. Christmas time, you can say, hey, I'm sponsoring pictures with Santa Claus at my office here. Bring your family down, bring your kids down. We'll have candy canes for the kids and give you free pictures with your kids and Santa Claus. Okay? There's lots of fun ideas that you can do with this system here, but you want to have about 20 contacts a year. So you've got your 12 newsletters. I would recommend every quarter another personal contact with them. Make that door-to-door again, so just turn it into a habit. Every couple nights you go out, you knock 20 doors a night. And if you keep that consistently going, you know, so 40 nights every week, or 40 doors that you knock a week, in a month you could do 160, and in 3 months you could do a full farm area of nearly 500 homes. And then you just start over again and keep going. All right, can you guys still hear me? If you can hear me, click the little button and raise your hand. Okay, looks like we've got audio back. It looked like it dropped there for just a little bit, so we'll keep on going. All right, so anyways, that's the farming system right there. You know that there are sales going on. You're an overnight expert on it. You've prepared a little one-page introductory letter, and you've introduced yourself to everybody personally. And then at least every 3 months, they're going to see you again. They're going to get your newsletter every month. And by the way, how much money does any of this stuff cost? You're going to pay a little bit of printing expenses for your one-page introductory letter. Other than that, it's just time. And how much time does this take? Well, if you took an hour twice a week, it'd be 2 hours a week. But if you're a full-time agent and you could get a couple of transactions a month off of this neighborhood, what better time could be spent? And I'll tell you right now, most people aren't willing to spend this kind of time. But I think it's a great investment in your time. And the last step is the harvest. You do this, people feel like they get to know you. How many of you guys, and I'd love for your participation here, how many of you guys, just by raise of hand, if you had a home to sell and somebody had followed this system in your neighborhood, and of course we're pretending you're not agents, you're just regular homeowners, how many of you guys would call this person and at least give them a chance to interview for the job? And if you click the little button to raise your hand, leave it up, and I can lower them all remotely. So a good portion of you, not everybody, I don't know if that's because you're not participating or not, so if you would not give this person doing this a chance to interview for the job, please type it in the question panel. Let me know why. I'm going to go ahead and lower the hands now. I'm going to go on, but I am really curious to see if it's just because sometimes people are attending by phone and I see their name on the list, but they're not really at a computer to raise their hand. But if you wouldn't interview this person at least for the job, I want to know why. Type it in the question panel, okay? All right, so that's the farm system. It would take a couple hours a week to do it. It would take 2 hours probably max to prepare. So 2 hours max to prepare, and then a couple hours a week ongoing to maintain this system. And it would be a fairly easy system to maintain as long as you put it into your calendar. And if you pick the right neighborhood that had 10 cells a quarter, and you could convert that neighborhood to at least half of them working with you, picking up sellers and buyers, again, you're looking at 5-6 cells a quarter, and I bet you could probably get to that point within the first year. So you're talking 20 cells, almost 2 deals a month, which for most agents, that would be close to $100,000 a year in income. And I'm thinking small first-time home buyer houses, $150,000 area, but that'd give you $100,000 a year in income just off of this one program alone. So I haven't seen anybody type in, say why they wouldn't interview this guy, so I'm guessing that those that didn't raise their hands simply aren't at a computer. Let me go ahead and go on to the power team concept. This is the other thing, and I personally, I love this idea, guys. I use this one a lot. I get a lot of leads from this program, and I implement my power team in every aspect of my business. Okay, I'll just give you a couple of ideas of how I use mine to kind of whet your appetite for the next half hour of what's going to come. Let's say somebody calls off of my website or my buyer acquire system or whatever. Okay, they call off of one of my listings, and I answer the phone, I give them whatever information they want, and say, by the way, I've got a great little buyer program where any buyer I can help, I've got over $2,000 worth of coupons that I can give you. I've got savings for you off of any flooring, new carpet, cleaning, landscaping, anything that a buyer might need, even savings at local big box stores, 10% off at Lowe's, savings at our local furniture store. And I've gone and talked to all these businesses, and they'll give my clients $2,000 worth of coupons. I'll give you those coupons for free if you'll hear me out and hear about my buyer program. It takes about 30 minutes of your time. If you've got 30 minutes in the next couple of days just for sitting down with me, I'll give you access to all of those coupons. Now, I personally give up to a $500 shopping spree as a closing gift for my clients. And so would you have some free time? And I can get into a lot of doors like that. And that was really rough. I'm kind of shooting from the hip here in this training program. But basically, you put yourself in a buyer's shoes. They don't want to hear another sales pitch, yet there's over $2,000 worth of coupons. Yeah, sure, I'll sit down with you. You know, I mean, that's all the kind of stuff that everybody needs. Carpet, flooring, cleaning, landscaping, all that kind of stuff that they need. And if I give this guy a half hour of my time, sure. First of all, it's another thing that I stand out a lot from the competition. What the competition typically does is they say, hey, so what kind of homes are you looking for? Great, let me run a search and I'll send you some stuff. They're probably getting listings sent to them by 2 or 3 other agents, sometimes 4 or 5. I've known people, they've got 5 agents sending them crap all the time. And I'll go down and sit with them, and I reference this stuff, by the way, in my buyer training. So if you haven't seen that, again, you can go to the YouTube channel. We've got it recorded there. But I'll sit down with them, do my half-hour buyer presentation, And I'll hear over and over and over, man, we haven't had anybody spend this kind of time with us. And I know for a fact they've been out showing homes with agents that agent probably took 2 or 3 hours with them, multiple times. And I spent a half hour, and their comment is, nobody spent this kind of time with us. It's the quality of the time. I had an agent do this just last week. He went through my training program and went and did it. And he had made an offer with another agent, had signed agency with that. I didn't know if he had, but when my agent got to the end, he said, yeah, I want to work with you. But now that you mentioned, what this is, I think I may have signed something with another guy a month ago, but I don't want to work with that guy. He didn't do anything like this for me. So he called the other guy up and said, hey, I don't want to work with you. Now, my agent didn't know going into it, and honestly, the guy didn't know that he had signed agency either. But my agent did the presentation, and it was his first buyer agent presentation ever, and it convinced the guy that he was such an expert that there was no way he was going to work with anybody else. So there's a lot of power in that, but you got to get in the door. I use my power team to get in the door. Now, when I'm with a buyer or a seller, it makes it a nice close. By the way, thanks for taking your time with me. I mentioned to you earlier that I try to go above and beyond what any other real estate agent would do. And I've talked to local businesses, I've networked with them, and they agreed to give all of my clients these coupons. So then I'll walk them through the coupons. There's several $1,000s here. So how would you guys feel about me being your real estate agent? And it makes an easier close for me. And buyers, first time they meet with me, they always sign the exclusive buyer broker agreement. I don't have to worry about them falling into somebody else's lap because they feel like I have gone above and beyond. Another way that this works for me is I can sit down, I have people to problem solve. So, I had somebody go through a house that I actually went and opened it up this morning to let the carpet guy in. We had a buyer that wanted to buy the home, but the downstairs carpet was old and nasty and needed to be replaced, and that was one of their conditions. So I called up my client and I said, this is one of their conditions. However, I have good news for you. I have a local carpet guy, and he'll give you 15% off because you know me. That'll save you $300 right there because of my relationship with him. Now, I look like the superhero because I can save my client money in lots of different ways. Anyways, that's how I use my power team. Now, this is how I build it. We all know that we're not alone in real estate. A lot of people have to do a good job to make our job happen. There's inspectors, appraisers, lenders, title companies, not to mention any of the other vendors if repairs need to be made. Okay? So in order for our job to be done right, a lot of people have a role to play. Now, most agents operate on step number 1. That's it. Okay? And I call this, and I'm not trying to be offensive at all, but I call this the grade school mentality. Their expertise will give us somebody that we can rely on to refer our clients to. We always want to refer our clients to somebody good. That just makes sense. I'm not going to put my professional reputation on the line, sending my clients to a lender that's going to overcharge them, blow all their deadlines away, and not be able to close. That's just stupid, right? So I'm going to send him to a lender that's going to get the job done right. He's going to meet his deadlines. He's going to communicate effectively with me. That's important, or else I don't get a paycheck. So everybody operates on this level. Now, why do I call it the grade school mentality? Well, because, and I picture this in a little bit of a whiny voice. Again, not to be offensive, it's just the way it plays out in my head. Because I have agents call me up and they say, you know what, I need a new lender. I've been working with this guy for years. I give him leads all the time, and he never gives me leads back. And again, I hear a little bit of a whine in there, and it says, I'll give you a lead if you give me a lead. I'll scratch your back if you scratch mine. But folks, I'm going to tell you right here, that's bull crap. Okay? That is not how the real world of business works. If a lender that blows his deadlines, that doesn't communicate well with me or my client, and doesn't close on time, gives me a lead, I don't care. I'm not going to give him a lead back. He scratched my back. Nice, that feels good. Thank you. But you suck at your job, so you're never getting business from me. Now, does that sound harsh? Absolutely. But that's the way the real world operates. So don't go around thinking in your head because you gave somebody business that they're automatically going to give it to you back, which leads us to our next point. If you're not getting business in return, it's because they don't see you as the expert realtor. Now, you may be the expert realtor. Let me throw that out really quickly before somebody gets upset here. Okay? You may be the very best in your neighborhood, but you haven't done a good job of communicating that to that lender. If he sees you as the best, he's going to send his business your way. When he gets a lead, he wants somebody that's going to go out. Let's say it's a buyer, because that's the typical business that a lender would send us. Let's say that somebody comes in, wants to pre-qualify for a loan, but they don't have a real estate agent, so he refers you to them. He wants to know, number one, that that person is going to be met with and treated professionally. He wants to see them out shopping for homes soon. He wants to see them go under contract soon. He wants that deal to close in a couple of months. What he doesn't want is somebody that doesn't ever call back that referral. That referral ends up wandering around calling off random homes and coming back to him saying that, you know what, I never heard from your guy, so I've got this other guy here. And this other guy is telling me to go with his lender because his lender gets the job done. You know, that's how real estate agents play it sometimes. Okay? He wants somebody that he can know will do a great job. So how do I communicate this how do I communicate my method of operation to my lender? Well, this is the job this graduates us to high school right here, okay? What have you done to convince your power team that you are the best there is? Now with me, I'm going to sit down with my lender and over lunch, and usually I try to schedule a lunch once a week with somebody different from my power team. So every quarter I can meet with 12 different power team members, and then I just repeat, rinse and repeat. Okay? So if I'm sitting down with my lender for lunch this week, oh, and by the way, I don't buy everybody lunch. I call them up and say, hey, would you like to go to lunch? I'm not trying to mooch any free lunch off of you. I'll pay for mine, you pay for yours, but I do want to talk business with you. Okay? So I get that right out of the way. I'm paying for mine, they're paying for theirs. That way it's comfortable. There's no awkward moment when the bill comes or anything like that. But I do want to talk business with them. So we go to lunch and we sit down. And by the way, sometimes they'll still pay. If you're really providing good value to you, they may pay for your lunch. That's great. But I don't expect it of anybody. So we sit down, and I say, I just want to let you know that my goal, and by the way, I'm pretty direct. My goal would be I want to be the top 1 or 2 real estate agent that you know. I understand that any referrals that come your way, you want them to have the very best attention. My goal is to be that very best and communicate that to you. What would it take for me to get at the top of your list like that? Okay? And if he says, you know what, my brother-in-law does real estate, I send most of my business to him. Occasionally, maybe I could send something your way. I'm going to pull up stakes and find another guy. Okay? He's got a family relationship there. I'm not going to have much of a chance there. He may be good at his business. I'm going to find somebody else just as good or better to partner with. But if he says, okay, I can respect that, I say, you know what? Here's some of the things that I do. Anytime I meet with a buyer, I sit down with them. I take 30 minutes to review the whole buying process. It typically saves them a lot of concerns that they might have, and blah, 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 blah. Refer to my buyer training for this. And this is all that I do. And I also, will recommend them back to you. I have a couple $1,000s worth of savings that I can pass along to them. But it's going to be the best experience that they've ever had with a real estate agent. Okay, and I'm going to spend some time into this. The other things that I'm going to do is, let me go back to this. I'm going to drop them right into my Sphere of Influence training. Okay, so again, you can refer to the Sphere of Influence training, but I'm going to be doing newsletters. Every month I'm going to be doing a newsletter. There's no reason my lender shouldn't be getting a copy of that. He should see all my listings highlighted. He should see my personal articles and my professional articles. I want him to know me personally and professionally. as the best in the business. So he should be getting my newsletters. Every quarter, I'm going to be going to lunch with him. I'm going to talk to him about one of my favorite things to ask my business partners is, so what are your #1 challenges these days? And I learn new things about them, and sometimes I can help with that. Sometimes their challenge is marketing. Well, let me feature you in my next newsletter. Is there any special offerings that you're making right now? And I can feature. And that's great for him. He gets free publicity. It puts me on his best friends list. It's all good stuff. And it gives me some good value-added content for my newsletter, right? So I'm going to sit down with him every quarter. He's going to get a newsletter from me every month. You're going to get 20 contacts a year. Find out what his birthday is. Give him a call on his birthday. Okay? Lots of things I can do to convince him that I'm the best in the business. Now, lastly, we want to get up to the college graduate level. So we're going to work together to facilitate each member's own investment portfolio. Now, that can be personal investing or as a long-term marketing portfolio with your business. Okay, so there's 2 ways that we can graduate to this master's degree: cross-promotion and investing. Let's talk about investing for just a second, and then I'll spend the rest of the time on cross-promotion. For a lot of real estate agents, investing in real estate is our retirement plan. Okay, we don't have other jobs that we're getting a 401k or whatever terminology you want to use with that kind of stuff. At least with me, I've been doing real estate for a long time. Now, a lot of these business people that we're working with, your plumber, your electrician, these guys, they may or may not have a great retirement plan either. For a lot of them, owning properties is a good way to go. So you can show them how to do that. And when you own properties, it's really nice that you have a go-to guy for plumbing. So have a plumber on your power team. You know, and then if you have a seller or a buyer that experiences plumbing problems, guess what? You've got a guy that you trust, and he'll give them a discount, make you look like a superstar because they get 10% off because they know you. Okay? There's a lot of ways that you guys can invest together and win together. And I've partnered with mortgage lenders in buying properties before and had a great experience with it. But if they're buying or selling a property once every year or two and you've got 12 guys on your power team, that could be an extra 6 to a dozen deals right there for you. You just got to, talk to them over lunch. Let them know what you're doing, and if it's something they want to do too, they can bring it up. They'll think about it a little bit, and then they'll give you a call. Let's talk about the cross-promotion, though. I've already told you about how I use my coupons. Think of how powerful it would be if my carpet cleaner guy, every time he went out and cleaned somebody's carpet, he said, oh, by the way, don't know if you'll ever need any of these services, but because you know me, you now have access to several $1,000s in savings on other types of services. Okay? And I've got landscapers and house cleaners and new carpet guys in there, and I've got a real estate agent. If you happen to be cleaning your carpet because you're thinking of selling, I've got a realtor in here that'll give you whatever discount. So I ask all of my power team members to come up with some kind of a promotion, some kind of a discount that makes it easy for me to say, you know what, go talk to John Smith over here with XYZ Plumbing, because not only is he a great plumber, but he's agreed to give all my clients 10% off. And he can say, you ought to talk with Eric Lee. Just because you know me, he's agreed to give you a $500 shopping spree or whatever it is, okay? Come up with some kind of a promotion yourself. Help your power team come up with some kind of a promotion, and talk with each other each quarter about how that works. Does it help their business? Has it helped your business? How do you use it to help you, and how can they use it to help them? But you be the ringleader that puts it all together, okay? Next, we get to brainstorm a little bit on who could be our power team. Now, I do this with my agents that I coach, building a power team with them. We have a lot of fun with it, and I'm always surprised with some of the ideas that agents have. Here's some of the basic ones, okay? Lender, everybody's got to have a lender on their power team, okay? You can have an attorney or a CPA on there. Now, these guys will refer you only if they're really convinced that you do the best in the business, okay? Otherwise, they're not going to send business to you. But there's But if it's a divorce attorney and somebody's got to sell their home, it's probably good that they know you, as long as they know that you're going to be the best, because they're not going to put their professional reputation on the line for somebody that they don't have confidence in. So an attorney, a CPA, inspectors, plumbers, my inspector will give all my clients a little bit of a discount. Plumbers, flooring specialists, I've got a roofer that will give my clients 10% off. New flooring that gives them 15% off. Locksmiths, landscapers, mention my name, you get $150 off, or whatever it is, okay? So you add it all up. By the way, Lowe's, the National Association of Realtors, gives all agents 10% off because they've done this with Lowe's. And so if you haven't done that, you can go to the NAR website and register there for Lowe's. Just look for Lowe's somewhere on the NAR site and you can register. And then every time you have a closing, you go into that agent back office that Lowe's has created for us, and you send your clients a 10% off coupon. Tomorrow I'm going shopping with one of my clients. I do a little shopping spree. They happen to buy a little bit smaller home, so it's a $250 shopping spree I'm doing with them. But we combine that with the 10% off Lowe's coupon, and they're getting at least $275 worth of goods from me. So you can have fun with it. I've gone grocery shopping with people, bought groceries for them. If you're spending your $250, well, that's my idea. Come up with something more fun. By the way, let's talk for a second about some fun ideas for you to come up with. I do my shopping spree because I enjoy it. The pressure's all gone. By the time we go shopping, they've moved into their house, and it's already been a week or two that's passed. Now they know, hey, it'd be fun to have a grill. We don't have a grill. We've never owned a grill. Or I had one guy, first time home, he was a bachelor. I took my wife with us, and we helped him get silverware and a mop and a broom. He needed toilet paper. That's the kind of stuff that we bought for him. But we have a great experience. It's a much better experience even than closing. Closing is typically a happy time, but it's a little bit stressful. They're signing on to a pretty big debt, and even though it's a good thing, it's a little stressful. So when I can come in after the fact and do that, I love that. It is not the best idea, though. My favorite idea out there is people that throw a housewarming party for all of their clients that close. They'll spend a couple $100 on food, maybe a couple door prizes or something like that. So they spend a little bit less than I do typically, but they spend a lot more time, which is a precious commodity for me. I don't have the time to do this kind of thing. But they'll ask their client when they move in, hey, you probably want to do a housewarming party. I'll do that for you. Get me a list of 20 or 30 friends, family members that you'd want to invite over, and email addresses or mailing addresses, and I'll get them all, or a phone number, whatever, and I'll get an invitation to all of them. Now look, they've just gotten 20 or 30 new people into their SOI, and they've gotten all the contact information for them. That's what I love about it. And they'll send that out and invite everybody over. And the agent is there serving the drinks or whatever it is that they do, serving the drinks, serving the food, having fun, and meeting people. Great idea. I love that idea. I'm not a real social guy, and it makes me feel uncomfortable to do that, so I take my clients shopping. I have fun with that. I've had other agents take this. In the past, we've done a gift of a 42-inch plasma TV or whatever it is, something that was basically the same type of cost. Other agents have gone and they've got on their power team, they've got a travel agent, and for $500 or whatever, that travel agent would give them a vacation. And so they would say, you know what, here's your closing, buy with me and take 3 days in Las Vegas or something. Okay, so you can do some fun things with it, and all of that stuff can be put into some really fun ideas for marketing. All right. Now, sometimes people ask me, is that legal though? Because I thought that there was a cap that we could put on it. You'll want to check with your broker and your own state laws. In Utah, there's a cap, for example, on referrals. If somebody sends me referrals, say John calls me up and says, hey, my sister Jane is buying a home and I told her to use you. Well, I can only give John up to $150 of a gift. because he referred Jane to me. I'm capped by state law on how much I can give John. But Jane, I can give whatever I want. You know, agents have been buying washers, dryers, fridges for years because they screwed up on contracts. There's nothing illegal about doing that. There are some legal issues in giving cash. If it's going to be cash, it's got to be disclosed on the HUD-1 settlement statement, or else you can get in trouble there. It's, you know, lender wants to see any cash that's flowing around. So I don't ever give cash. I give a gift. Legally in Utah, for buyer's agents, we can give gifts as long as we notify the person paying the commission that we're giving the gift. And so I send a little letter of notification over to the listing agent. By the way, I give my client a gift at closing. They don't have to agree to it. There's no acceptance part for them to sign. I just notify them, and I've complied with the law, and I can give my client whatever gift I want to with my money. And by the way, I write all of that off as a marketing expense because that's my marketing. I do a shopping spree, take a picture with my client outside the store with their shopping carts full or whatever it is, post that on Facebook, share it. It's a fun way to get the word out. Okay. Anyways, these are a lot of ideas here, but it's by no means a complete list. I've got agents that have talked to restaurants thinking that, you know what, anytime buys or sells, they've got their kitchen packed up. You know, they need to go out and eat. So they get savings for them at a local restaurant. I would recommend finding someplace locally owned where you can talk to the owner and, again, build that relationship with them, because they've got a lot of people that work for them. Typically, people that own restaurants in a community have some deep roots. Anyways, some fun ideas. So here's your homework assignments. Whether you choose to farm or not, I think it's wise for you to find out where those hot areas are. I just want to pique your interest here, really. Get on your MLS, do a little bit of work, and find out where those hot areas are, where all the homes are turning, okay? If you do choose to farm, take it in little bite-sized chunks, get your one-page intro letter done this week, and start going out and knocking doors next week. Put it in your calendar. Power team. Everybody ought to do this. Get 10 to 12 potential power team members. Contact them with your vision. A lot of them will be skeptical. They'll say, so how much is this going to cost me, or why are you doing this? It's not going to cost you anything. It benefits me to have good, reliable people I can send my clients to, and I'll be direct. I want to prove to you that I'm the best real estate agent that you know, and I want referrals from you anytime somebody talks about real estate. And guys, I am that blunt, okay? And I say, is there anything that would hold you back from recommending me if I prove to you that I'm the best realtor that you know? You know, do you have a cousin in the business that you send everything to? Who do you have? I want to know that kind of stuff. Assemble your coupons, 1 to 2 page offering, something like that. I've got mine now printed out. I keep them with me so that I can show them to buyers and sellers whenever I sit down with them. But it's fun to sit down and say, here's several $1,000s worth of savings for you. Okay. Anyways, guys, there's some fun ideas here. Hopefully you've enjoyed the training today. If you have comments, questions on this that come up later on, feel free to email me, eric.lee@equityutah.com. Hopefully this recording works and I can get it up on our YouTube channel. If not, we'll do it again and record it again. But thanks for joining me today. I'll see you all online next week, and have a great weekend, everybody. Bye-bye.